Does this come out?
It should be, yeah.
Okay.
Set.
Yep.
Alrighty, first on our agenda tonight, we have a public hearing, liquor license transfer for the Country Pantry. I'll read the public notice. Town of Barry Public Hearing Notice Transfer of Liquor License. Take notice that the Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on Monday, March 21st, 2016 at 5:30 p.m. at the Henry Woods Building, 40 West Street, Barry, Mass. On a proposed transfer of an all-alcohol common victual license from the Country Pantry Corp. to Title Seafood, LLC, DBA High Tide Seafood Restaurant and Dairy Bar for premises located at 2291/2293 West Street, Barry, Mass. Persons wishing to comment may do so at that time. The meeting room is handicap accessible. Persons requiring reasonable accommodation should contact the town administrator's office in advance. Alrighty. So, you want to, anything to add to that, Heather, before we start?
None. No,
None.
we've received no comments. No comments received.
I take it, Paul, Bonnie, you are the one transferring it to these folks?
Yes, I
You guys, ladies, like to introduce yourself and maybe give us a little brief scenario of what your plans are for the premises? Come on up.
get cozy. Sorry? Just so you guys have the record.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you? Good, how's it going? Thank you.
Well, good evening. My name is Mark Bolenstein. I'm an attorney for Title Seafood LLC. To my right is John Flagg, who is the sole member of Title Seafood LLC. And to his right is Annie Camden, our proposed manager of record for the restaurant. As indicated in the advertisement, we are seeking a transfer of liquor license for the former Country Pantry. Mr. Barney has entered into, on behalf of, as the landlord has entered into a lease agreement with Title Seafood LLC for the use of the property. Mr. Flagg has already begun the renovations of the property to remodel it to make it suitable for a seafood restaurant and dairy bar. He's looking to serve alcoholic beverages on the premises. In terms of remodeling, he has moved the kitchen from the center of the property, as you can see in the plan that was submitted with the application.
It's in the back, Richard.
Yeah, it should be in the back.
The last page. Sorry. There's duplicates. It's just one page.
So you can see that. So you can see that he's moved the kitchen to the back area. He's turning the former kitchen area into a bar area to prepare alcoholic beverages for customers or guests.
Waitress station.
Waitress station as well. And there'll be a dairy bar in the former gift shop, bait shop area.
On the right side.
On the right side. And then there's a grassy area north of that.
Right.
So like I said, the renovation's already begun. Mr. Flagg is very excited about the prospect of his restaurant. And Ms. Camden is very excited as well. And they're hoping to bring a very successful business to the town of Barry.
Good. If the new folks would like to add or make this comment?
I'm really excited about coming to the town of Barry. I live in East Huntington and been in the area for a while. And, I saw an ad in the paper and didn't know Mr. Viney at the time, but went in and had a real long discussion with him, really liked it. And I think we can do very well in the town here and hoping that we can bring business into the area. So,
Nice. Any comments, Ann?
It's pretty excited about it myself and can't wait to open up at the end of May.
Any speculations on when?
trying to open up for Memorial.
Oh,
End of
nice.
May. So we're hoping for where we're going to have the outside trying to have the concept of to-go,
Good.
so that, you know, come Labor Day, we close down, but yet still be able to operate full-time as a seafood restaurant in the wintertime.
Mhm.
So that was the concept we're trying to go with.
Kathy or Luke, you have any questions?
Have you done this before?
I have, yes. 30 years ago, I had a former restaurant, Trackside Restaurant in Orange, Mass. It's, unfortunately, I was only there for a couple of years, but didn't have much of a lease, and it's now, my place of business is now the parking lot for the Orange District Court. So I only managed to get a couple of years into it, and after that, I got out of it and went into sandblasting business with my father for 22 years. And I'm employed at Rodney Hunt now. I'm production lead for blast and paint. And they announced that they were leaving the state in November. So I wanted to go back to what I always liked and wanted to do, and managed to save up a few dollars, and love to open up my business in the town of Barry. Seafood restaurant.
And Annie, have you done any of that work before?
I had waitress when I was younger, but,
Okay. It's a good training. That's a great training.
Yeah.
Done there, done that.
About
Yeah?
20 years.
Okay.
So
Good.
venturing into this with him, and hopefully we have a good business and enjoy doing it.
Great, great.
I know he loves
Sounds good.
cooking.
That liquor license that you hold up in alcohol, doesn't that allow serving outside too?
Yeah,
But then you had that little area,
yeah, and in fact, here's a copy of it.
and this would be the exact same.
Exact same thing as well.
Okay. Was that, if you guys remember when we granted them permission and they got that little area out for the, if you're looking from 122 instead of right in the old big shop
Yep.
area.
It's a cute area too.
So everybody's aware of
Yep,
what's
that's
going
fine.
on. Just put that with the rest of it. Any comments from anybody sitting out here with us tonight? No? So we need a motion to grant this.
Make a motion that we approve the liquor license transfer.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
So, good luck. Getting your license.
Thank you very much.
Good luck on your new venture. I hope it works out well.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you guys. Good luck.
Have a great evening.
Thanks, folks.
See you, Paul.
We'll see you.
Sign.
That's great. I love seafood, so that's great. That's great. Yeah, I had just turned one on to say they.
That's all right, you were taking it long. I know I need it when I walk through the door. No, that's good.
Everybody sign that. I'll put it right on the top.
Okay, that goes back in there too, right? There we go.
For those folks who arrived a few minutes late, if you haven't signed in on our signing sheet, I wish you would do that now, please. Thank you. That's my papers. All my papers, my agenda, and all that, so right here. Got my agenda with you?
I have an agenda.
Don't have mine.
No, I don't have yours, but you can use that one.
Okay. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 10th, 2015, and December 28th, 2015, as well as the executive minutes of June 30th, 2015.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Lee. Yep. Public comment. Do you have any public comment tonight? Mr. Gamowski?
Place to raise concerns, is that where you are on the agenda? Is that what you're doing? Yeah. Well, okay, first of all, for the record, I'm Frank Gromowski, for anybody that doesn't know me. I'm not here representing any group or anything else, I'm just here as a citizen, long-time citizen that's been involved. I'm very concerned, and I come with the concern, but also the suggestion and the request for this particular thing. I think the common project, we've got a major problem, okay? I think it's time that we schedule a public hearing, an informational hearing, in which we get the updated status of the project. We have explained to us phase 3 and 4, a construction schedule, completion date, total cost to date or an estimated cost. I think that as I travel around town in various places, people are totally confused and not understanding where it's at, including myself. Okay, and not for anybody's fault, I'm not here to fault anybody, but I think it's time to open it up to a public meeting as soon as we can, okay? And we've had a number of months now to watch the traffic pattern with the suggested signs and everything else, and we want to sit there, it's a nightmare, okay? I've witnessed some accidents myself, just being on the corner, and, we're trying to eliminate that and not increase the probability. I think it's important that we have the construction manager, project manager, engineers, design people all in one room, along with the DOT engineers, and also the public officials. The DPW head to find out how did the snow removal go? What can we do to improve it? What was the problem? The EMS people, the ambulance, are they all right with all of this? The fire department, can they move the trucks and that? And lastly, the police, and to get an accident log for the last 6 months. How many accidents have we had on the common already, and how many have been a real problem? In the common committee, as well as the business owners. I mean, they're almost left out of this. They have no idea what's going to happen. Phase 3 and 4 are starting up. There's guys walking down the middle of the road, spray painting, and a rock pile that's up here. And we've got a lot of coffee shop engineers in town. One of them being me. I mean, it's time that you get some kind of facts down. As I go down 122 every day, it seems like we're pushed out into the traffic coming up 122. You take you right onto James Street, and pushed into traffic coming across there. Maybe that's going to be corrected. You're coming from Quad and the stop sign's there, everybody's got to come out. Okay?
Correct.
This morning I witnessed right across, adjacent to North Park, Veterans Park. They got a stop sign down on the ground. This car went right through the stop sign, and the car coming from the library, I don't know how we did it. Okay, I mean, the signage, we went from a real aesthetically beautiful common to a common of signs. Are y'all going to be there? I don't know. You're going to paint roads, but I think people want to know what's going on and let the engineers tell it. I'm not a big advocate for change orders on any project that I've ever been involved in. However, if it's going to increase the safety and increase the, the aesthetic view of the common, this is the time we got to do it, okay? We can't sit back and watch these things happen, and then in a few short months, the construction company's gone, the designers are gone, the engineers are gone, okay? And the town citizens will have to live with the end results, good or bad, for many, many years. I guess what I'm concerned about is after more than 70 years of study, maybe $3 million, are we going to be able to sit back at the end of June and say, is this the best we could have done? Maybe it is. Maybe they can explain all the things that are going to be done to be completed. Some of the stuff might be temporary. I don't know. But nobody else knows either. So if we can bring all the parties together and, let everybody see where it's going from here. Maybe a few suggestions now are going to, greatly improve the project, safety-wise. The Barry Gazette, they've done an excellent job trying to cover it and bring it up, but they can really copy the maps that they get from the design people, and if you get to be my age, you can't read those maps, they're small, okay, and a lot of other people, so, I look back and a few years ago, up on Grove Street, private individuals got together, donated money, made a beautiful park here. then across from the town hall, okay? They did some work, looking good landscape in both places, beautiful jobs. Okay, now we got all the experts from all over the state. I'm not sure we got the best job for the money. Okay, so that's my concern, and my request would be that you schedule a meeting as soon as you can and get everybody in one place, and then all these coffee shop engineers, if they don't show up at the meeting, shame on them. And, you know, people can say, well, we had plenty of informational meetings, and we had all that. Yes, I went to the senior center, okay? A lot of changes have been made since when they put that plan up, okay? It's just unbelievable, and I think myself and a lot of others were fascinated with the technology in the year 2016, when you can watch little cars drive around the common and not looking at the design of the common. So it's something I appreciate if you guys would look at and give some serious consideration. I think it would clear up a lot of uncertainty in the town.
Comments?
Excellent idea. I agree wholeheartedly. I think we should touch base with the Common Committee and set up just what Mr. Gromowski was asking for. Have a meeting. I don't know myself what's involved in the different phases. I mean, I have an idea. They're going to do Broad Street, they're going to do Park Street, et cetera, but I think that's an excellent idea, Frank.
Kathy?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Fran, I had gone to that town common meeting, you know, a week ago. Heather had gone, she'll probably explain more. But one of the things she did do is that an email was sent out and telephone calls were made to all of the businesses who were affected by it, and there were more than 25 people who went to that meeting, and it was the Mass DOT, it was the engineer, it was the town some of the people from the town common committee were there, and with the business owners, and the police chief.
How long ago was that meeting?
And it was a week ago, and it was discussed, and then Heather had given an update on it, and maybe it was 2 weeks ago, a week ago Monday, and then, and I know that Ellie was good enough to put that information into the Barry Gazette, and you are totally right about the map, because my husband said, I can't read the map, Kathy, it's too small. So, you know, certainly that's something.
A public information.
Yes.
Okay? Always the end work,
Right.
the engineers and whoever's involved, they're gonna know what's happening.
Right,
The
exactly,
average person on the street who's gonna pay for this project for a long time
right.
has no idea.
Right, and the big concern was in creating the project, to make it work after 70 years, you're absolutely right, is the fact that it wasn't made to be a speedway so that people could get as quickly as they can through the center of town. The purpose of it was to create a calming effect and to create an effect of safety. That was the purpose of it. That's why we received the monies. That's what you do. We just tried to keep the town common as close as it could be, because it's a beautiful town common, but to take care of the safety concerns. And that's, you know, that's how we've proceeded so far. And,
I'm not questioning
yes.
how you people
Yep.
proceeded, and what I will say to you, I probably was here a little longer than you, and I remember when they had all the green across from the town hall and everything.
Yes.
Okay, and they dug it up to put high top.
Yes.
Now we're going back and we're putting it back in. I mean, in a lot of places like that. So there's a lot of changes, and public safety's got to be number one.
Right.
But, you know, I look in neighboring towns, you enter in and it says tree town, okay? What are we gonna have up here? Common signs, a sign common or something? That's what it looks like, looking down Exchange Street. But maybe they're not gonna be there, I don't know.
Yeah, my thought on the subject, they need one sign when you come up Mechanics, 2 signs, a stop sign and a right turn only. That would eliminate 90% of the signs in front of you,
I
Frank.
guess, Lee, what my thing is, we all have great ideas, I think, and there's a lot of them out there. Let somebody listen to them. Rather than 6 months from now say, why the hell didn't we tell them 2 signs are plenty?
I agree.
We don't need any blinking lights and red lights in Barry yet. Maybe in the year of 2000, but
Right. No, I agree, Frank.
Dennis, you still on the comment committee?
I'm the vice chairman.
Would you like to comment on this
I'd
subject?
like to know who from the common committee was at the meeting at the Barry Savings Bank that you referred to. Nobody will tell me.
Paul was there.
That's Paul?
Cranston, and Lester did one.
Why wasn't anybody else notified? Twice now that's happened. There's been 2 meetings at the Valley Savings Bank you people have held. You've not included the entire common committee. I've not known about either one, and both times I found out after the fact and was told, oh, you missed it.
On the planning committee.
I'm on the planning board, but I'm also the vice chairman of the common committee.
I would speak to Mr. Cranston.
Yeah.
Just to add to Kathy's statement about the meetings we've had for the businesses, those informational meetings about the phases prior to their start, just to give the businesses and those entities around the common an update, because it severely impacts them and their parking situations and their customers. So those were held with Baltazar present, project manager, his supervisor on site, the Mass DOT resident engineer, and as well as public officials, meaning the police chief, fire chief.
And I don't question, I think that's a good approach. One thing I would question, any kind of a meeting like that be held on private property, on public property, in a public facility. I would say to you, why didn't you hold it at our savings bank? Why Barry Savings Bank?
Yep,
They offered their boardroom,
of course they
which
do.
I understand.
could fit
But we're
all these
not
people.
all board of directors, we don't need boardrooms. Have it in the town hall, that's what we got it for, a senior center, a public place.
You are absolutely right, Fran.
It's a public meeting open to the public, so you should be in a public place. Could I ask who?
Hold on, before this is starting to get a little crazy. If anybody has any comments or questions, please raise your hand. You will be recognized, and we'll keep this in an orderly fashion. Heather, as you were saying, you have anything else?
Just wanted to add, we did address signage at that meeting, curbing, because some people, we've received complaints about the curbing, as well as sidewalks.
That's all good. When are we gonna find out what the adjustments were, where the signs were, what the curbing is? That's a big question, okay? I'm concerned, I saw a bus get hit on that common, okay? Motorcycle accident, person got hurt pretty bad. Since we started this thing, let's bring the police chief in and say, hey, we have 14 accidents, and this was the seriousness of some of them. Everything becomes hearsay and rumor, and you can have a fender bender, and the next thing you know, it's a total wreck by the time you get the Dunkin' Donuts, you know?
At the beginning of the project, the police chief offered to be the liaison for all of those concerns, so any of those concerns I would bring to the police chief.
I wouldn't. I'd bring him right here. This is where the buck stops. You coordinate the meeting, not the chief of police.
I'm sure within the next 2 weeks, we can set that up.
Yep.
We can.
We'll work on that, to set a time up.
And it will be in a public place. Mr. O'Sullivan?
Yeah, just curious, two-part question. Who actually called for that meeting and organized that meeting that did take place, where some of the committee members were informed and some weren't? And the second part would be, who was responsible for notifying, or who selected the people that were invited?
Hello?
I sent out the email, but I sent it to the chairman of that board.
Not the vice
So
chairman.
you selected who was getting the information, rather than all the committees you picked, the chairman of the board?
It was meant to be for the businesses around the common. Obviously, the common committee, the person from the historical commission, the police chief, the fire chief,
Whose
the
decision was it?
DPW
The first part
superintendent.
was, whose decision was it to have that meeting?
I don't recall who initially brought that up.
Well, just because it's can I just add, it was protocol. We did it for phase 1, we did it for phase 2. We told the people, in November, that as soon as we were ready to begin phase 3, we would have a meeting. I mean, that's what was done.
I think the concern that I have about it, in which it sounds like you'll address at your next meeting by having it in a public place, is that it's certainly in the public's interest. And I've been, as you know, I have a petition going around town, so I've talked to quite a few people in town And I've heard several concerns of people about the common, and they'd probably like to have a chance to hear about it. But when the meetings are held in private and only certain people are invited to go, they don't have a chance to have their input. So I think you're really missing out on the town's feeling and spirit of the project right now. So it's a great thing to see it get to a public meeting in a public place with some sort of notice so that people can attend and have some input. Because now that it's this far along, I think a lot of people are surprised at how it's turning out. It's not what they expected. And they certainly have difficulties, which they could express to you, as he's pointed out, which would probably help in trying to conclude the project in a meaningful way, which would be beneficial to everybody. But public meeting, public place, I think is a great thing for it. A lot of people seem to have concerns that a lot of meetings don't seem to be public enough.
Just one final comment relative to meetings of that nature, okay? And it looks like you probably ticked off the same people I thought should be at a meeting of that nature. It's a difference when it comes from the Board of Selectmen, when you say to the chief of police, the fire chief, DPW head, and everybody else, this meeting schedule, you're expected to be there, okay? That's a lot different. I don't know who showed up at that meeting, if the department heads did or they didn't. You know, it's...
We will work together with other
Yeah,
ways
we can
scheduling.
set a date.
Set something up.
And like I said, it'll be at a public spot. Sam?
I understand also from Neil Andrews, who is the chairman of the planning committee, that when the meeting was held at the bank regarding business, which is planning, he was not invited to attend either. Of course, he can't speak for himself now, he's away.
He's back.
Oh, well.
I've addressed this many times, and I'll say it again.
And he was quite disappointed, by the way.
Okay.
Go ahead, Heather.
Like I said, I'll say it again. I've addressed this more than once with you, Sam. That wasn't my invitation to make. The CMRPC was asked me to invite the businesses. I sent that invitation out to the businesses. They did not ask me to include the planning board.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on that subject? All right, we'll move on. Heather, do you want to skip down a few? See, we do not have any study results yet.
We can.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to we're going to skip around on the agenda. We're going to go down to the discussion on the police chief's contract and the PD management study results. Possible vote on the police chief's contract. Heather?
I don't really have much to report on this. The consultant firm that was hired to perform the management study of the police department has completed the study. We have not received the written report from them, but we should have it this week. So I would ask the board can discuss the findings of the report at their next meeting.
All right, thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Well, that's all set. All right, now we'll go back up to town administrator's report.
I have a few things to report on. The Complete Streets program funding and the bicycle rack program. So on March 14th, I met with Dan Deniska of CMRPC, our regional planner Eric Smith, Dennis Fleming from the planning board, and Rich on behalf of the selectmen. And we reviewed a draft policy, and Dan Deniska added his comments because this is a policy that would eventually get scored by Mass DOT. So after that meeting, added additional language to the policy, and each of the board members, the planning board has received the draft, the DPW superintendent, and the recreational committee. And we will review that at our joint meeting. All the boards have been invited to that on March 28th at 7 p.m. And once we agree on the final policy language, we would hold a public hearing and to receive any comments, and then once approved, send it to Mass DOT. And regarding the bicycle rack program, I have heard back from all the appropriate departments, so Recreation, the Library, and the Barry Common Committee for the bicycle. I'll be submitting that shortly.
Great.
Great.
Second item is the auction of the 453 North Brookfield Road and the parcel on Cutler Road and the parcel on North Brookfield Road. There'll be a public inspection of 453 North Brookfield Road property on March 30th, and that will be 10 a.m. until noon, and April 6th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And the building inspector will be there with the auctioneers for this viewing. Any questions that anyone has on this, they should direct them to the auctioneer, Sullivan & Sullivan.
Can you do those dates again?
March 30th, 10 to noon, and April 6th, 1 to 3. Update on the public safety building. The pre-bid conference for the public safety building was held on March 16th, and it was well attended. Brian Humes of Jakunski Humes, the architect for the project, went over the draft addendum that was to be issued, and it has been since, and actually 2 addendums have been issued, and addressed questions from all the potential bidders. Following the conference, we reviewed the comments the OPM Vertex companies had on the bid, and Jakunski Humes answered those questions, and some of those comments were addressed in the addendum as well. And the filed sub-bids are due this Wednesday at 3 p.m. and the GC bids are due April 5th at 3 p.m.
Great.
Okay. So, anything to add to that?
No, that was it.
Selectmen's budget.
How much of this budget has changed since the last time we reviewed it?
I'm just going to go over the things that have
The
changed.
changes are perfect.
So, the various accounts, just a line item was moved from the Selectmen's expense account.
Yeah, what?
Just flip up to the first page. The back.
Yep.
Line item was moved from the Selectmen's expense because it was its own separate line item. It should have been included in the Selectmen's expense account. Next would be the updated figures for the Worcester County retirement.
Yep.
Those proportions for sewer and water were calculated by Worcester County retirement. So that changed the bottom line.
Okay. Good, good.
I'm still waiting on the general insurance numbers from Maya, but we should have those by April 1st. They said plug in, 5% increase for those figures. Maybe 10% for workers' comp.
Okay.
The IT, there's 2 proposed budgets, but I'm going to let Adam answer those questions at the Finance Committee meeting regarding those.
And when is that meeting going to be in the finance?
March 30th.
Okay.
7 p.m.
Okay.
That's
Okay. Okay.
Lastly, I'd like to make a proposal for the custodian and custodial services for the town. Currently, we outsource our custodial services for this building, the senior center, and the town hall, and we will have to be paying for the custodial services for the future public safety building. The library has a custodian for that building, and my proposal is based on his salary and the approximate number of hours it would be for all those buildings. So we'd have one town custodian. And you'll see the bottom line, depending on whether that person took insurance changes, but it's very comparable to what we're paying now versus outsourcing it.
Yeah, within $1,900.
And the second page of that has the results of the second lowest bidder last time we put it out to bid. And we would pay a lot more than having an in-house person. So we went with that second.
Right.
Right.
So that's a proposal.
Okay.
And would the select board be the ones to draw up a job description for that, Heather? Would we
We would
try to
probably,
get some input from George, or?
we could adapt, there's an existing custodial job description.
For the library?
Yes, yep.
So do you plan on bringing this up at the next finance meeting, Heather, or?
Yes. I wanted the board to see it before
Think about
then.
that,
Yep.
right, great. That sounds good.
Thank you, Heather.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Super, thank you. Thanks for keeping it down.
Okay, the old business will sign a MOU with New Braintree for the EMS services. They finally got it ironed out, Heather?
Yes. All the attorneys have made their comments, and they're included.
Now, these paper that's before us, is there any changes on this compared to the last one we received?
Very minor ones, please. I don't have a tracked version in front of me, so.
I would like some time to look at the changes before we, I think before we vote on it, we should take a peek at it.
You want to do that at the next meeting?
If we can, and do it, work to make sure it's what we discussed previous and things have been straightened out, so we know what we're signing. Or how you guys feel about it.
I think that would be, I mean, it's a week away, so I don't think that'd be a problem.
Yeah, I'm ready, that'll be fine.
So, we'll take this and compare it to our other, our last draft that we had. Just make sure we know what we're voting on.
By all means.
Mr. Lipson?
In regards to the budget, are you able to calculate at this point whether the budget is going to remain the same or whether it's going to go up and by how much? I'm talking about the bottom line.
For all town departments you're talking about?
Yes,
Or just the selectmen's?
for all town departments.
Well, at the moment, Sam, and I think you've attended several of the finance meeting, I think you understand the process. The process is that all the department heads, for the most part now, have submitted their budgets with their requests for, additional services or...
I thought Heather was mentioning, so she was only mentioning the selectmen's.
Correct.
So I guess the
Right.
question is, sorry, I had to fine tune it. So the selectmen's budget is going to remain the same, is going to increase, is it?
Oh, I think there's increases on it,
Is
Sam.
it- and
No.
how much is it going to increase?
I can get that figure for you, I don't have it on hand.
No, right, because you mentioned 5 or 10%, so nobody knows what 5 or 10% is of.
That was in reference to the general insurance account. And we don't have those final figures, we depend on those from our insurance company. We don't have the final figures for us yet. So maybe 5%, it could be less. This year, we actually spent less than they estimated last year.
And all the budgets, Sam, including this one, are brought forth to the Finance Committee. And then as the town meeting draws near, we get more accurate accounts of where our money situation is, then if we are forced to, we start making adjustments on all the budgets. So that isn't set in stone, just to let you know that.
Thank you.
Okay, a couple of weeks ago, we had to vote to deficit spend the snow removal account. That time we were informed that it was like $700 over, I do believe. We were also told that there was a few slips still out there that had not been received yet, so we had voted to authorize them to spend up to $7,000 for the remainder of the winter. Well, unfortunately, I guess there was quite a few slips still out there because now we have a request from the Highway Department and that they've gone over in the amount of $25,391.44. So we need to change that last vote that we took. And that 7,000, remember we capped it at 7,000?
Yeah.
We're going to spend.
Well, we spent more today, so.
Right, exactly.
So they actually, today should only be just a few hours of overtime. The materials should be sufficient. They should not have to buy many more materials, I wouldn't think, especially with that.
So you want to raise it to what? Say 12 grand just to be safe?
I think that's got to be 19.
Oh, okay,
That's
all right.
over.
I see it.
It's over.
I'm sorry.
So should we say 25,000? You know, and then that should take care of everything for the rest of the year?
Yeah,
You think?
yeah.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Make a
So
motion.
hopefully it's over.
No, make a motion then that we deficit spend for snow and ice up to $25,000.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask what you budgeted for snow and ice? I mean, every other town's got a credit, they've sent it back.
I believe ours is 110,000.
And we went through that in this mild winter?
Yes.
Yep.
And you're gonna add to that 25,000, so if we're lucky, it's gonna be 135,000 for snow removal?
Correct.
Yeah. It was probably double that last year, Frank.
Yeah. Well, money.
Yeah.
Price of salt is pretty expensive. I do believe right now it's $80 a ton.
It is.
Just want to sign that so we
Yep.
can send that off. Okay, thank you. Let's have that. Color touched on that briefly. Okay, next is the review of the fire chief's job description and job posting.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to make a statement.
Sure.
All right, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, over the past 6 or 7 months, there's been speculation and misinformation as to why the Board of Selectmen did not renew Chief Rogowski's contract as fire chief. Much of the information out there is fed by rumor, lack of factual information, and worse, that the Board of Selectmen acted in a frivolous manner with a blatant disregard for the safety and security of the town's residents. As many of you know, and for those of you who don't, the board has been studying the integration of fire and EMS into one cohesive unit, not only as a physical measure, but more importantly, as a means to improve and ensure adequate coverage by both entities. As such, we've conducted research on other towns that employ a combined service under one command structure. As part of that research, discussions were held with both the ranking members of EMS and Barry Fire, as well as individual rank and file members. Chief Rogowski was a participant in those discussions, which brings us to the fire chief's contract. When it came time to renew the chief's contract, one thing stood out above everything else. Whoever was to head up the command of the integrated services would need to be at least a rated EMT, if not a paramedic level professional. These are the released executive session minutes of the discussions by the board on the contract negotiation and the chief's response. Monday, December 15th, 2014. Heather Lemieux stated the fire chief has used up the remaining comp time he had accrued. Leif Erikson discussed the future of the combination of fire and EMS. Kathy Inman questioned the past requirement of the fire chief to become an EMT. The board would like to see that implemented. Heather Lemieux explained the board could choose to non-renew the contract or negotiate a new contract with amendments to the job description under new terms. Motion. Kathy Inman moved to send a letter to Fire Chief Joe Rogowski explaining the board will not be renewing his current contract, but would like to negotiate a new contract under new terms and with an amended position description. Voted approved. Monday, May 18th, 2015. Executive session, fire chief's contract. Heather Lemieux stated that she sent an email to Chief Rogowski requesting a proposal for a new contract, and she has not received anything as of yet. She stated she received a call on Friday from Chief Rogowski stating he was using a vacation day, and today she received a voicemail message that he won't be on vacation indefinitely to use up his vacation time. Heather Lemieux stated she contacted Fred Dupre, that's the town's labor council, and he recommended a letter be sent requesting him to negotiate a new contract by a set date. If not received by that date, his employment will be terminated June 30th. June 2nd, 2015. The board discussed with Employment Council the fire chief's contract and the terms. The board agreed to offer the fire chief a one-year contract, a 2% salary increase, that he become EMT certified no later than December 1st, 2015. The position would be 25 hours a week, core hours from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., 5 days a week, with the exception of the 2 Mondays a month for fire training to be 4 to 9 p.m. The board also discussed prorating benefits based on a schedule that call-ins would need to be documented. Part of that is because we agreed to pay him for calls when he was off the clock, etc. That is why the calls need to be documented. Kathleen Inman moved and Leif Erikson seconded to offer Joe Rogowski all terms as stated, and that his hourly rate would include a 2% COLA. June 23rd, 2015. Heather Lemieux provided the board with an update on the fire chief's contract negotiations. Heather Lemieux stated Attorney Fred Dupre, the town's counsel, had contacted Attorney Jack Collins, the fire chief's counsel, and provided him with contract proposals. She explained if the chief did not accept the proposal, the position would be posted. Heather Lemieux stated the chief refused both proposals and requested to enter a contract using the contract currently in place with a resignation of June 30th, 2016. She explained Attorney Dupre recommended the board accept the chief's proposal. She explained, the board has discussion on the offer and that after June 30th, the chief will become an employee at will if there is no contract in place. Leif Erickson would like to discuss further with Attorney Dupre. Heather Lemieux will contact Attorney Dupre to see what to do next. Employment Counsel Fred Dupre briefed the board on his discussions with the Fire Chief's Counsel.
What date is this?
This is June 30th, 2015. The board agreed to offer the chief a contract with his term ending June 30th and that he signed a letter stating he would retire as of June 30th, 2016. The letter would be attached and conditioned in the contract. August 3rd, 2015. Motion, Leif Erickson moved to sign the employment contract for the fire chief. Kathy Inman second. Attachment A to the contract. I, Joseph A. Rogowski, Fire Chief for the Town of Barry, hereby give this written notice to the Barry Select Board of my decision to retire on July 1st, 2016. Based on this decision, I am not seeking any renewal or extension of my employment contract with the Town of Barry. So, as you can see, at no time did the Board of Selectmen not offer to renew the chief's contract until the one binding condition of that contract was rejected. What isn't reflected in the minutes is the board's agreement to fund the classes that would have allowed the chief to become an EMT. So, compromising the safety and the security of the town? No. In fact, the changes we are attempting to implement will do nothing but increase and enhance those that already exist. In the end, we are tasked with the health and welfare, both physical and bodily, of all the town's residents. We don't expect all those changes will be popular or welcome. However, we were elected to work in the best interest of all, and as such, we will continue to do so, based on fact, not rumor, not speculation, or innuendo. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
See a couple of hands up here. Linda, you had your hand up?
Yeah, first of all, he signed that contract because our lawyers kept going back and forth and we ran out of money. That's the reason. Under Mass General Law, if the fire department does not run the ambulances, you do not have to be an EMT. And he is a strong chief and has worked for many years. He's one of the first ones to go to the calls. He works well with the fire department. The ambulance, they have no problem. He's first responder, certified, DFIB certified, and unless the ambulance would come underneath the fire department, then he would have to be a licensed EMT.
Thank you. Mr. O'Sullivan had your hand up.
Oh, I absolutely did. I have a few concerns within the statements of your executive session. As we said, you said the attorneys have discussed failure to come to a contract agreement. He's allowed to continue as an employee at will. And I would assume this would, at some point, prompt some sort of arbitration to determine what a proper contract should be. And the fact that, in my opinion, very coercive, to force him to sign a statement to retire in order to continue the contract.
Excuse me,
this year.
Mr. O'Sullivan, he brought that proposal to the board through his attorney.
I understand that's your statement. His statement is exactly the opposite. You
Well,
wrote that
we're not going to have a discussion about
No,
the argument.
no.
here.
I'm giving my opinion, sir.
Yeah,
Okay?
okay.
So in my opinion, that was coercive. I've talked to the fire chief. He has no intention and no desire to step down as fire chief. And as I feel, and many citizens of this town, as you'll find if you listen to people feel, he should remain our fire chief. He understands the communities, the equipment, the personnel. He understands the workings of this town, the locations, the fire hydrants, the supplies, the assets we have available. We have structural fires better than anybody else possibly could. We have several EMTs in our fire department, several, probably a dozen. I don't know if Stan Andruski could give me a better guess on number, but we have quite a few qualified EMTs, and we have a tremendous amount of help we bring to any scene. As first responders, we can probably do about 80% of what EMTs are allowed to do already. And if you should actually move the EMTs, then absolutely you'd have to get licensed, and you'd have time to do that. And to force them to do it ahead of time is inappropriate, and it shouldn't happen. And to try to force him on as fire chief is completely wrong. You've tried on several occasions before, and one of these was with the Deputy Chief Carr, when you tried to overrule his function as a strong chief. And it seems to me, my opinion, that you've been after him since then on a couple of attempts that are misguided and against the public's best interest and best safety.
I don't understand that statement.
The removal of that Deputy Chief Carr from Deputy Chief Rogowski,
Yep.
because as you said, he took it out of town. Yes, he traveled through Hubbardston for a quarter and a half mile to get to his job in Barry.
And he used it to take his children to school, and he used it for other things too.
We had a deputy chief on call during work hours that his employer would continue to pay him and allow him to go every call in town. And the benefit this town had to have the chief car respond and allow the fire chief to respond with an apparatus is unbelievable benefit for us.
Mr. O'Sullivan, if I may, let's keep it to the chief's contract, if we could,
The
please.
chief's contract.
The chief does not have a contract after June 30th.
In the past, to have a full-time fire chief, 40 hours a week.
Yes.
Did not the town vote on that? And what right do you have to give?
No, I don't know the answer to that.
I do know the answer.
Okay.
20 years ago.
Okay. All right. I do know that if the wording that was presented to him was a cut in hours, was not a cut in pay, he'd get paid the same amount of money with a 2% cost of living increase. Why? Why would you do that? So he could go and get his EMT license and have the hours during the week, not lose any pay out of it.
You have no right to ask him to get an EMT right now. You have none. None. It's
Well,
not required. The town doesn't want him to do it. The town doesn't need him to do it. This is what you're trying to push upon him.
no.
The town wanted.
What we're looking at
The
is,
town asked for 40-hour fire chief, sir, and you have no right to drop that to 25 hours. And that's what my petition's about.
that's all right.
If I could stop you for a second.
All right.
That one that come up at 25 hours, that was in negotiations.
Yeah.
When you negotiate a contract, I've been involved in quite a few since I've been a selectman, there's a lot of things that go back and forth. That was just a starting point.
Why would you
One thing I
consider-
want to make a statement about Mr. Erickson said of these minutes, because when I was a selectman and involved in all the minutes, and it was kind of disheartening that of all of our meetings, the chief never came to any. It was very difficult to try to discuss any kind of contract negotiations when he wouldn't come. And I know several times the town administrator reached out to him to say, geez, Joe, come, we need to come together on this, and she can back me up on this, and these board members, it shows in the minutes too, the
Well, it
attendance.
also appears to me that you started these discussions back, I believe you said December of 2014.
Right.
And this continued through June. when we held our town's annual meeting in front of the whole public, why wasn't this brought to the town and get the town's input when you had the chance, rather than bring this out quietly after the fact? Why was this kept from the town, and why didn't you ask for the input at the annual town meeting when you had the chance to?
We don't bring any contract negotiations up at the town meeting.
I think this would have
Not
been
that I
prudent.
have.
I think this would have been very prudent, and you expected to make a change to one of the, main figures in this town.
Actually, it wasn't agreed upon until after the town meeting.
Right.
So there was still an executive session and contract negotiations at town meeting. We hadn't come to an agreement
You
then.
just discussed it here, executive session Monday, June 1st, 2015. Then you came to my house at 4 o'clock on a Thursday and handed me this contract for 25 hours and to get his EMT, but cut him down to 25 hours a week on a Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Your office is not open on a Friday. Town meeting was that Monday. So we scrambled to get a lawyer, and he said, well, if your salary goes through on the line item, then you're not going to be able to be cut down. Plus, it was voted full-time 20 years ago by the townspeople. Not a part-time job, not a 25-hour-a-week job. Full-time.
That limit was part of the negotiations on both sides. I mean, this,
You made that choice.
right, your husband,
Session.
right, but your husband never
All
came
these
to talk to
years,
us.
You just come in, normally for his contract, he would come in, they'd be like, you're doing a great job, Joe, you didn't tell him anything he was doing wrong, but you want him to get his EMT. And he told you before that under Mass General Law, if you do not run the ambulance or rescue service, then you do not have to be a licensed EMT.
Do not have to be.
Right.
Doesn't mean you,
And he does his job to the best of his
Doesn't mean-
ability and 120% above.
doesn't mean you
What he
You
does
can't
every day.
be required to be. You don't have to be, but we can require somebody to be an EMT.
Right, you could have changed the contract, you did to 25 hours a week. He can't do that job in 20 to 25 hours a week.
That
And do a good
was,
job,
that was negotiation, that wasn't set in stone.
No.
and then
But
you
okay.
got a lawyer, and our lawyer and your lawyer, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And anything that they suggested, you said no. Because this is not a job, Jim, it's his life. He puts in more than 110%.
I'll just say two things. One of them is that you can see it through the minutes. We tried for weeks to get Joe to come in and talk to us.
Our lawyer said that he should do the negotiating.
But that's after weeks of us wanting to know why he wasn't coming in to talk to us. Because we, excuse me.
Don't speak out of turn, please.
So I'm just saying that, we didn't understand why he wouldn't want to come
He
in
didn't
to
understand why
discuss
he'd want
things.
to do him out. After all these years, 41 years of dedicated service to the
I know.
town of Barry.
I know
For
that.
what?
I know that.
For what?
And Linda, the second thing is
For
that I just wanted to say that when he came in as a full-time chief, that he said he was going to get his EMT. And that, I have to be honest, that's what he
He never
said.
said that.
He,
He would never say that.
okay, all right, I'm just saying that's
Because
what he
back then, they
said.
didn't even have first responders,
Okay.
20 years ago.
Okay, okay,
Right.
all right.
Well, that was my
Go ahead, sir.
take on it.
I've sat in these meetings and listened to fire chief issues, and not once did anybody in the board mention the ISO report. You familiar with that?
We are,
A little bit, Sam.
yeah.
And when it's due to come out, it's due to come out, I believe, the fall of this year. And it comes out every 10 years, and it's kind of an indication of how the fire department is doing. During this time, you've cut the fire department budget significantly. I have the numbers. I gave you the copies of the numbers. Now, we, as a town, have no idea what this report is coming out, what it's going to show. I would guess, just as a guess, remember, I'm not a fire person, but if you would take a position from full-time to part-time, then the scores for availability to fight fires would be less. If the scores to fight fires would be less because of the part-time chief, then what's going to happen is that everybody's insurance premiums for their home will increase, just like they did in Ocam. I did an analysis, I shouldn't say I did, I asked my insurance representative to do an analysis of several homes in Barry under the standards of the town of Ocam, I believe. And all of our premiums are increasing, have increased, but we don't know what's on the ISO report. So I've come here to explain that, and I've come here to ask a question, two questions. Actually, a question and a statement, to be very honest, is that I would think that the selectmen, especially with the difficulty that we're having regarding the police chief and spending $8,750 from a budget that now has become in the red, just to get some evaluation.
Hold on, sir, I'm gonna stop you a second.
Well,
I'm gonna stop you. We were discussing the fire chief.
Okay, but I'm trying to I'm trying to give an analogy.
No, well.
I'm trying to give a comparison. So, we are worried about this town as a business. And we don't know how the result is going to be. So my suggestion, my request to the selectmen is that they offer the fire chief another year and discuss this issue in regards to EMS, or I'm not too sure exactly that issue and how important it is, or whether he's allowed or whether he's not allowed. I don't know the rules. And you did mention that you were offering him money in addition to his 25 hours to pay for the EMS, the training. What I would like to suggest, because it seems as though the town is able to spend the money, yet the fire chief is not able to spend the money, so I would think that, in all fairness, you would offer some sort of a benefit, financial benefit, to the fire chief to allow him to hire an attorney so you can negotiate, and I shouldn't say, and I'm using the word argue, because I'm not using the word fight, I'm using the word argue like gentlemen, properly, because it seems as though, from what I've heard, they ran out of money and they couldn't argue with you because they ran out of money. Let's give them some money. Let's allow him to be a good fire chief. Let's be respectful for 40 years. And, in closing, I think that the board should err on the side of logic, spirit of ethics regarding the fire department. Considering that one of you, 1/3 of this board, the chairman, you, Richard Jatkowskis, has somewhat of a taint in regards to the recall petition that 500 people have initially signed with some difficulty. Remember, Richard, I did some homework. When you were hired for 170...
Enough about the recalls.
174 people.
I'm going to ask you to be quiet now, because you're getting way off the top.
No, I'm not. I'm explaining to you about the fire department.
We're discussing the fire chief's contract.
That's what I'm saying. You
just brought up the part about a recall that's going around against me.
Well, because
That's their choice.
People who have a dispute with the people who are running this town have to rely on your opinions. Currently, there's a taint on you, and they're questioning your decisions. So I'm asking, give the guy another year. Let's hear what the ISO report says. The ISO report may say he did a wonderful job. The ISO report may say that if you go from full-time to part-time, our insurance premiums are going to go up. And they're going to go up, but they're not going to be they're not going to be called a tax increase, because it won't be through the town, but it will be out of our pockets nonetheless, because it will be considered an additional cost for us to run our homes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kath?
I think that Heather can speak to this matter.
Excuse me?
Which matter?
Yeah, can you speak to the ISO matter? You know, because Sam already brought this up a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, you were checking
No,
things over
after
that.
that was
And the
brought
fire
up a couple
department
weeks
budget
ago.
too. Yeah.
I did contact our insurance company, and having a part-time chief could impact our ISO rating. That is correct.
Thank you.
The budgets, I do not believe the fire department budget has been cut.
No.
Right.
Every budget that the fire chief has submitted, I believe, has been fully funded what he requested. The last time budgets were cut, all departments were cut. And that was going back quite a few years.
2008.
And I think you told him that 2 weeks ago, correct? You mentioned it to him 2 weeks ago, too.
Claims that he
Sam, don't talk out of turn. Sam, do not.
Overtalk me.
Yes, I will.
Maybe you should ask me. Maybe you should ask me.
Sam, you need to keep order there. I've asked you several times.
Well, because she's not telling the truth.
If you continue on, now you're calling our town administrator a liar.
I'm saying that she's not telling the true
If you
information.
continue to outburst like this, I'm gonna ask the police officer to escort you out. I don't wanna do that. Please behave
Maybe I have
yourself,
to do
sir.
that, I guess.
Well, if you continue on, I will, Sam. Please don't force me to do that. Heather, as you were saying,
I finished what I was saying.
okay. Mr. O'Sullivan, you had another question or comment?
Yes, I was similar to what Sam was alluding to. Given the ISO rating, I think it'd be prudent to find out how this will affect homeowners. And I would like to see this contract for the fire chief held on. You could let this go as an employee, as we discussed, until this is brought before the town and give the town a chance to have their input on this at an annual meeting as to whether they would like to reduce to a 25-hour-a-week contract, and let them get an idea as to how it may affect their personal insurances and finances. Because I don't think, the people are getting a chance to be heard on it. And there's a very, very good likelihood it will affect the ISO rating as a condition of our fire trucks, the maintenance schedules in the fire trucks, our training schedules. All these things do come into play in that. And it may affect someone's homeowner's insurance by $50 or $100. But if it's $100 over 5,000 homes, that becomes a $500,000 impact on the residents of the town. It's pretty significant for, I don't know what the chief's salary is, around $60,000 impact on the town. It's going to impact the employees much, much more severely than that. And there's a lot of people.
Yes, correct.
There's a lot of people in town.
You guys keep referring back to this 25 hours, as I stated earlier, and evidently you folks didn't listen. That was part of a negotiation that started, when did it start? December 15th.
Right, what I'm referring to.
What you keep on referring to, several people in the audience keep saying, that was part of negotiation. I don't know if you've ever been involved in a negotiation, but you go back and forth.
I'm using that because that was the example.
Well, everybody thinks you're the latest
The
one.
contract offer you brought to the fire chief right before the interview.
Let me speak to
That's why I referred to that offer.
Okay,
Mr. O'Sullivan,
One of the offers. I made to the town.
I'm going to read that over again, that section of minutes, so everybody will re-understand this a little bit. This is on June 15th of 2015. This is concerning the thing. I'm not going to read the whole part, but I'm going to read from this point on. Heather Lemieux said she was in contacted, that she was in contact with Attorney Jack Collins, the chief's lawyer, who was representing Chief Rogowski, and he was in contact with Attorney Fred Dupre, the town's lawyer. She explained he spoke with Attorney Dupre, and Chief Rogowski offered counter terms. His first counter offer was to keep the same terms with no increase, and to provide the town with a letter of intent to retire at the end of the fiscal year. Everybody's understanding that. The second offer presented to the town by the chief was to accept the board's proposed contract for a 25-hour position, but to exclude the requirement of obtaining an EMT license, and provide the town with a letter of intent to retire in 1 year. So, we wanted him to become an EMT. We gave him a chance to. He didn't want to. We asked him, you know, if a 25-hour week. He said, yeah, I'll take the 25-hour week, but I'm not going to become an EMT. Case closed.
Can I just ask?
Case closed.
I don't want to put Richard Stevens on the spot. Was that correct, Richard, that he said he would be an EMT? Because I saw you nodding your head yes when I made that statement.
Well, I was selectman at the time when Joe was appointed, and it was a verbal agreement over the table that he become an EMT if he was going to become chief. And he laughed it off and said, it wasn't in writing, I don't have to do it.
Oh, after that, consequently after that.
But
I
for
see
me,
what
a
you're saying.
verbal agreement is as good as gold or silver. It should be adhered to.
Do you remember what year that was, Richard?
I don't know how many years ago that was. When did Joe become chief?
Chief in 96.
96?
And he was full-time in 99, correct, Linda?
I
think it is, yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, I would say,
Yeah.
in that category.
So, that was my statement, to kind of counter some of the back and forth, the rumors, why'd you do this, why didn't you do this? Copies of these minutes are available through a public records request. If you want them, you can file it with Heather. You can read it in black and white. And that's it.
Alrighty. A couple of quick more questions, and we're going to move on to our business here. Linda?
Well, that's just the way you have things written is the way you perceive them, the way other people perceive them. Like Joe calling and saying he's taking his vacation, and then calling him and saying he won't be back till a certain amount of time. Because he was told if he didn't use his accumulated time, then he would lose it by July 1st. And as it was, he lost many hours of time. He could have taken actually a vacation from like February to July 1st if he had wanted to, but this was in April, May to July 1st.
There was no advance notice. There was a phone message.
That's right, because he was on leave, if you recall, a month with no pay. And then when he got back, he also had the thing saying, use it or lose it, pretty much. All the town employees had to use their vacation. That's right, it was in writing that all employees had to use their vacation time by a certain, it wasn't just him signaled out. But if he hadn't taken that time, he would have known, he would have needed to take, he could have taken April, but no, he had to take that off, no. He lost quite a bit of time.
They were given a year's notice. Am I correct?
Year and a half.
It was a year and a half. It was a year's, everybody knew a year in advance that they had to make sure that they had done that. Used up their time.
Alrighty. Dan, I haven't recognized you yet.
Really quick, on the, you mentioned combining the fire and EMS, and this was kind of been in research.
Yep.
Has that decision been made to formally merge those departments?
We haven't taken a formal vote on it, Joe.
Is one scheduled?
We're still in the gathering the information to see which direction we'd like to go and what would be best suited for the town. So we're trying to figure something out. It's been discussed though for a couple of years.
Yeah. I thought you were at one of the meetings, Joe.
No, Stan.
Stan, I'm sorry,
Stan, yeah.
Stan.
I just didn't know where it stood, because obviously this is relative to the contract.
Yeah.
Whether that decision's been made or where we are in the process of making that decision.
Right.
Because as many people know, in most localities, almost all, the EMS is with the fire department and has been that way.
Because the situation in town was kind of unique when they first started it. It was,
40 years ago.
40 years ago, but it wasn't a town entity. You know, it was a private organization.
But there are no deadlines, or we're just still gathering information?
I would have liked to have seen it done 6 months to a year ago, to be honest with you. But there's a lot of stuff involved. A lot. Not only from the fire point of view, from the EMS point of view, too.
I just wanted to know if there's, where we are, if there's a formal timeline, or really we've just been where we've been for the last few years, if it's in R&D right now.
Probably Heather can give it up to you.
Yeah.
There's no formal timeframe that the board has set, but it's something we're examining, looking at the numbers, coverage, that type of information.
Okay.
And I think we need,
And if this,
I think we're going to be doing it sooner or later, because we need to know exactly, concretely, you know, how we're going to make everything work. You know, for the town, and for the EMS, and for the fire department, and how we're going to make that gel.
You know, another thing that has come into play is, since the town has paramedics about 20 hours a day on call down there at the station, the money that the EMS service, ambulance services used to bring into the town, paid for their ambulance and so forth, you know. The town didn't have to shell out for ambulances. By having paramedics on call, that's not the case anymore. So we're looking right now at $220,000, $240,000 to replace one ambulance. So that's another thing you have to look at. Do the benefits of having paramedics outweigh the loss in income? Well, yeah, if they're going to save somebody's life, sure it does, but you need a way now to fund the ambulances. So there's a lot to it. I mean, a lot
Okay,
to it.
no, I
Yeah.
fully understand.
Right.
Just want to know where we're at, that's all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
I got just one general comment sitting here that is very discouraging. I'm not here to support the chief or the board of selectmen or whatever it is. And certainly, Mr. Chairman, I'm not here to say that you can't defend yourself. Okay, however, I'll say this. I've been involved in this town since 1950. I served on the board of selectmen for 6 years. I know what a tough job it is. But I can truthfully say, I don't know of any individual in my lifetime that sat in one of those chairs that didn't make a decision in the best interest of the town of Barry. Okay, did I agree with a lot of them? No. Okay, and if we're not happy with somebody, there's a recall provision that's called the annual election. Vote them out of office. Are we going to have a recall every time someone's unhappy with a decision that's made? We're looking at a lot of money to call a special town meeting and tour them in this particular case. I think we better take a look. But the most discouraging thing to me is to see that the government in the town of Barry has got to the level of our presidential election. And I'm sitting here and see a member of the public call the administrative assistant a liar and tell the chairman of the board of selectmen that he's got a tainted reputation that they're going around about. I think he ought to take a self-evaluation and look at himself. That's a personal opinion.
With that, can we move on, please?
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
and the discussion open discussion about the review of the fire chief's job description and job posting. We have a draft before us.
Right.
That was drafted up off of the original one. This was drafted up quite a while ago when we were trying to renegotiate a contract with the fire chief. I don't know if you folks have anything you see needs to be changed, added to, subtracted, whatever.
I looked at it, frankly, what I would like to do, Mr. Chairman, is perhaps a town administrator and an assistant could pick 4 or 5 of the local towns, get their job description on their chief, send it in, and then we can sit down and compare apples to apples, and if they aren't, then they're oranges and bad.
We need to move forward if we're going to be advertising for a full-time fire chief.
Right.
One thing, I was looking over this, and I'm not an expert in the fire field, but I think one thing should be added to this. It should be, and maybe Stan can help me, I know he's pretty clever about this stuff. I think we should add in a fire prevention officer level 1. I've been trying to do some research on the computer, and I'm not very good at it, but I'm trying. And what I could come up with, and I made a couple of phone calls, that this particular job title certificate that they get is to perform the inspections that the fire chief does. Inspection of oil burners, propane tanks, and there's, I think, smoke detectors, and there's several other. Have you ever heard of anything like that, Stan?
I will not comment on the contract.
Alrighty, so I think that needs to be put in there, Heather.
Okay.
I have a question. Why would that be full-time when you were offered him part-time? His first contract, you
I'll
offered
try
him
this again
part-time.
one more time, Linda.
Well, I just don't
Well, I'll try
understand.
this again one more time, and I wish you would listen. You guys keep coming back, and I just said this, about this $25, and you just come back again. That was in negotiations. That was not
This
set.
was the, he delivered to my house.
That's right, it was.
Negotiations, wanting to be signed by. This board's final proposal, please respond to me in writing whether you will accept these terms of employment no later than Monday, June 15th.
And he said he would.
So, he took it as this is the contract you were offering him, sign it by Monday, June 15th.
Okay, well, it's too bad your husband didn't come to some of the meetings to discuss this stuff eye to eye with the board and with attorneys. It probably would have been a lot smoother.
Attorneys
So I'll
talk
take
to
it.
attorneys.
Okay, so did
Can I just make
get
a-
that, Heather? Hold on, Kathy, I just want to make sure that's added in there. Okay, Kathy, you have a comment? Question?
It's just that it obviously wasn't the final, because that's not what happened this year.
Correct.
He worked full-time and such, so that obviously
When was
wasn't the
this hand
final.
delivered to our house to sign by Monday, June 15th,
Probably.
delivered on June 10th?
So it was, my take on it, it was hand-delivered, so he would,
Heather.
right, so he would receive it, Linda.
Right, at 4 o'clock.
So here you go,
Thursday.
this is it, here it is.
Open on Friday, so he had
Correct.
no one he could talk to.
Right.
Town meeting was Monday.
Town meeting,
If it was gonna go through that, the budget was gonna, his line item would have been changed at that time.
No, we couldn't change it, even if,
That's right, it wasn't changed.
we couldn't change it because the negotiations hadn't been completed.
Right.
There wasn't a contract in front of us, not a signed contract. If there was, it wouldn't have made any difference.
Right, you just wanna get rid of him.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Obviously, all these years of, the only thing he didn't want to be an EMT, which under Mass General Law, he doesn't have to, and he's a strong chief. Everything runs smoothly.
We wanted him to be an EMT
The
because
point is,
there was a lack of coverage by the EMTs in town.
I thought you said you had paramedics.
We have
There's never been
we
never
have,
been a problem on any of the calls that he has ever gone on, that there's been lack of any.
I'm not going to get into the day-to-day with you, Linda, but that's the reason why, to help provide more coverage for the ambulance service.
And then coverage $25.
Well, one thing I'll say now, is that you somebody EMT, and then we're gonna be ending this discussion. It came to my light not too long ago, and I never realized it. Barry now has paramedics 20 hours a day.
Right.
Which is a great thing to the town, because they're very close to a doctor. They can do a lot more than an EMT. But unfortunately, the state has laws and rules, and one of them is, if a paramedic responds to a call, and he does not have an EMT with him, or knows one is coming right down the road, his duties that he can perform are cut in half.
But
He can I finish talking, please, Mrs. Rakowski? I didn't interrupt you, please don't interrupt me.
Sorry, baby.
When them hands are being tied, they can't, they're sitting there, they know what needs to be done, but they can't do it. So my point back then, was to have the fire chief become an EMT to improve public safety for the town's area's residents. Unfortunately, negotiations got stalled pretty quickly because of people not getting together to discuss things in a room, in front of a table, sitting across from each other, like I've done many, many times before. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That part is over.
Okay. Move on.
So the job description, please don't interrupt me.
I'm gonna, can I
This
add
job
something too?
description, we've asked that we get some from the area towns, right?
Yeah.
With a full-time chief.
Yep, exactly.
What about?
That would have fire and EMS too, so we would see all of that.
Rutland, Hubbardston, I believe, has that set up. Half all, that's a city, but I know they have that set up.
The Templeton, Phillipston.
Yeah.
What is it, boys?
I want to add something too.
Go ahead,
with that,
Kathy. And what page are you on?
This is just an add-on that I saw under the assistant, and for some reason it wasn't on the chief's, to develop and direct community and public service programs and projects. And such. I know other towns, they go into the schools, and they also deal, and they go into the, deal with seniors, and even give seniors the,
On page 2, Kathy.
Yeah.
Here's some words, right there.
develops and conducts fire safety and prevention programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good program.
To do that, because I know they help the seniors out, and I know they help the, go into the school systems, and I know that grants are given to all towns and have been for years for it. It'd be great to be a part of that. So I just wanted to make sure that that part, was included with that.
We have to go to executive session if we take a break.
Comments?
And
Yep.
can I have another comment?
Go ahead, Kathy.
It talks about serving on the communications board, and that's it's not, right, so it's, I think that term should be clarified, that deals with that.
The MOU now.
Oh, okay.
Just want to change it.
All right, I knew that wasn't exactly correct, so, we're doing that. And the line, I just didn't see the line when I saw it on some of the others, was that selects, trains, and evaluates the employees and makes out discipline as necessary, and I did see some of it on the assistant and the deputy, and I just wanted to verify, check out which spot, absolutely, that should be in, and such.
Okay.
So you're gonna wait till,
Yeah.
get these other ones in
Yeah,
mind?
that'd be great, that'd be great.
So that way they can post a position,
Yeah.
because you don't wanna post it unless you've got a job description.
Yes.
Correct. For those people to answer to.
Yep, great.
Okay, that's all set.
All right.
Okay, that's good. Discussion of chief's been put off.
Yeah.
So the next thing we have, correspondence. I've got a couple things that came, one was we received a letter from the Monty Tech vocational school that Barry is part of concerning their budget. I'll read it briefly, it's not very long. The district committee at its meeting March 2nd, 2016 voted to clarify the preliminary budget and assessment figure for fiscal year 2017. The school committee has worked very diligently to present you an acceptable assessment that still meets the needs of the students of the district. The amount is based on preliminary estimates from the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. The amount may change upon receipt of cherry sheets. I hope this information and the backup material we're providing you will give you the necessary information to go forward with your warrant. I'm available to meet with you you or any of your committees to discuss Monty tax assessment, feel free to contact me, Dr. Sheila Harry. The figure that they presented to us is roughly $257,393. Last year's assessment was $270,048, so it was a reduction of like $12,655. I do believe that mostly comes into play because of the amount of students that are attending.
Right.
Also, we received a schedule from the Felton Field Commission of this coming year. It's available in here to look at. I looked it over. Most of them are horse shows, or the riding. They do a lot of trail rides. I have a concern of one, though, that looks like a new one. April 30th, they're having a car show and swap meet like thing. I'm just curious if that will fall under that they need to pursue the special events permit for that. So maybe we can have Heather or Fay reach out to one of the commissioners to go over this to see if that will meet that. That's have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was my only concern with that schedule.
And they were good at bringing the schedule in, because we'd asked that last year. So
Yeah.
now we just have to look to see which ones, do need to look at that.
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
What is this special events permit you're talking about? Is that the one that we decided to table at the town election last year? Or is
No,
that something different?
no. That's the one we put in place when we had a lot of trouble at Colebrook when it...
Does that have the planning board and the other members involved?
Exactly.
And then you were trying to have them have the selectmen do that in lieu of the board thing?
Yep.
So that's one that's the existing current one?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Just curious, because I've been seeing that there's the firefighters involved in that, so.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know that they need to get out.
Right.
No, the event holder would have to pull the special events permit.
Okay. Yeah, I can talk to the guys who know him. One of the guys,
I think I'll actually reach out to the Barry Riding
Correct.
Club to
Right.
discuss
No,
their
reach out
It's
to
their
the-
building.
We don't have any permits for the person that's asking to do this
Oh, I
event.
understand
We
that.
would have to reach
You
out
need to reach out to Margot, Tetricone, Larry Marshall.
Correct.
Yeah.
As the
Yes.
directors.
Inform them, because they
Right.
oversee
Right.
that.
Yeah, they would have given the permission for this event to
Mhm.
happen if they're at that location,
Yeah.
so.
yeah, just if they need to get that, it'd be good to see a timely notification so they make sure they get the stuff in.
It will probably be tomorrow.
That'd be great.
Okay, also, any other questions on that?
No.
We received a letter from Beckley Stewart. It's regarding Mary Lane Hospital. It's brief, I'll read it. It says, as you know, Bay State Mary Lane Hospital is under consideration for license consolidation with Bay State Wing Hospital in Palmer. As part of this change, the inpatient service at Mary Lane would close the emergency room and would become a satellite emergency facility. Attached is a resolution adopted by the Ware Board of Selectmen. They ask if your respective community's board would consider adopting as well. Thank you for consideration. If they're able to adopt the resolution, please forward to me. If you have any questions, please contact me. The resolution, I'll read it, and it's not too long. Whereas in order to meet the healthcare needs of our community, we need to keep healthcare accessible by keeping care local at Mary Lane Hospital. And whereas a full range of hospital services are a critical component of serving the healthcare needs of Ware and the communities within Mary Lane service areas, and whereas blank, which was, if we agreed to, would be Barry, and other communities within Mary Lane service areas should have a voice in the decisions regarding the future of Mary Lane Hospital and the healthcare in the region. Therefore, be it resolved that blank Barry Board of Selectmen act to support the continuation of a full range of hospital care serving the healthcare needs of Ware and the communities within Mary Lane service area, including inpatient and emergency room services. And therefore, blank Barry Board of Selectmen encourages and supports Bay State Health to intent to increase and grow current and additional health services at Mary Lane Hospital facility. And therefore, it be resolved that the blank, Barry Board of Selectmen shall work with Bay State Hospital to keep local care in the Quabog region. They're looking for our support on trying to keep Mary Lane Hospital going.
Seems like a no-brainer. I would vote to support that.
Well, and especially because what it's requesting that the town be kept abreast
Right.
of what's going on so we can have input, and our citizens can have input.
Correct.
And many of them use Mary Lane exclusively. They just,
A lot of them, yeah.
you know, many of them do, so I just think that, you know,
Yep.
to have input on it is really important.
Well, you need a motion?
Yes, I would like a motion for us to sign this.
Yep.
I flip it over to the back,
Okay.
next page.
Yep. I'll make a motion, we sign the resolution to keep local care in Mary Lane service area through Bay State Health.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just wanted, at this time, I'd like to state that I really support Mary Lane Hospital because of its proximity to Barry, especially when you get a patient down that end. But at this time, I feel that I do not want to sign it for the simple reason is my sister works there as a nurse.
Okay.
And I wouldn't want to get in hot water with the Ethics Commission.
Right.
So,
Well,
if you guys want to sign it, and please, if you could just send a note, Heather, with this back, the reasons why I did not sign it.
Certainly.
Are
Thank
you
you.
going to create, you know, scan it and then type in Barry into that versus just filling it in?
Yep, I can.
And then we'll
do that
sign
when
it
you
like in the
present
next
it.
day or so?
All right.
Okay, let's do that.
all right. All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one more, townwide cleanup. This is from Timothy Woodward. Says some areas of town seem to be getting a great deal of trash pickup. Could we designate a day, say Saturday, April 16th, from 10 to 12 as pickup day in Barry? We could get it done before the grass cover starts up again, and also could the Board of Health or landfill donate like 5 to 10 packages of trash bags for citizens' use during that time? Someone could drop off the bags to a designated areas to be filled up and dropped off at the landfill. Doesn't have to be all that formal of a process, and will go a long way in the overall presentation of the town for the year. Just a thought. Tim Woodward of Root Road in Barry, Mass. I think that's a great idea. On April 22nd, I do believe is Earth Day, so maybe we could coordinate it with Earth Day to do the cleanup. And they're asking about the landfill or Board of Health to donate the bags. Well, we can't speak on their behalf.
Just ask them if they
It was
want that.
forwarded to them?
Okay, all right.
But
So refer him to...
I have no problem supporting this man's venture,
No.
cleaning up the town.
Great, and maybe you could bring us a more specific plan too, so everybody would know like what areas they would be in and, you know, and to make it work. And get the bags to those areas, get it to him in knowing what areas.
And I'm wondering if they could maybe talk to the landfill and meet with them or something beforehand so they can say, you know, do they have to use the Barry trash bags?
Yeah, they'd have to, yeah. If they're going in the landfill, they'd have to use the Barry land.
Be aware of what they're doing.
Right.
Make the landfill aware of what's going on.
Right, and also the cost of the brush that's going in there.
Transfer station.
At the transfer station,
Right.
right, at the
Yeah.
transfer station. You know,
So,
and the cost of the
you guys want to
brush.
make a motion on approving his request?
Yeah, make a
But
motion.
he
we
keeps,
approve
the
it.
only thing, it says someone.
Right, let's be more
I
specific.
don't know who the someone is.
Right.
Right.
Get back to us
They
with
want
the
to get a
specificities.
committee to get.
Great.
Give us more information.
Yeah.
Tell them we support it, we'd just like to know, you know, a little bit more, a time frame and what areas of town they'd be in, and we should inform the chief of police that these folks are gonna be out there on these roads, just because I think we've done something similar in the past, haven't we, Eric? Just to
Yeah,
give
3 or
them
4
a
years
heads
ago.
up.
Yep.
In speaking with him today, before he emailed this request, he did say maybe it'd be that people along these routes could just pick up in front of their own homes, and it would kind of aid in the trash on this particular day. I did say he may want to reach out to the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. I think last year on Earth Day, there was some coordinated event for townwide kind of cleanup. I don't know who spearheaded that, but.
Well, you can point them in the right direction for us.
Trying, okay.
Put it right in your hands.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman?
Tim is on a cemetery commission.
I think that's a great idea, but I think you better check with the insurance company if you're sanctioning a town pickup. God forbid, someone is getting a bag and someone rolls over them that's picking it up. The town's gonna be liable for it. I mean, if the insurance company says, okay, or you need a rider on your insurance policy, well, but as soon as you take a vote, you're sanctioning that is a town function, no different than the town highway department. I mean, God forbid, when a guy gets hurt on workers' comp, he's covered. It's a great idea, but boy, the liability could be,
Mr. Gomowski's right, when we contact Maya, maybe we can just tell that gentleman to leave the bags on the side of the road, because you see that happening all the time on the state roads. They pick them up and leave them, and then the following week, we can have DPW pick them up and bring them to the transfer station.
it'd be like town yard
Yeah.
sales, but at 6 o'clock, someone will make the route, pick up all the bags and have free dumping for the year.
Yeah. Well, we don't know about that. You got a truck? All right, let's move on. Let's take a break and then.
Right now, we will be going to an executive session, well, in a second here, and when we come out of executive, we're going to go into executive session in the Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21, Paragraph 3 for litigation. When we come out of executive session, we will be adjourning. So we'll take a little bit of...
Can I ask you a question real quick? Just based on when the findings from that study were going to come out, and expecting, I guess, today for the police chief?
We had expected, but we haven't.
Do we expect it's within the next day or so? And if so, when is...
This week.
I'm sorry?
This week.
So when would those be, when would the meeting be to be able to share those with the public?
30?
Because the next...
Depending on when we receive
when
them.
we get them.
Because the next meeting, if I'm not mistaken, is the same day as Election Day, and I don't think we want to interfere one event with the other. So would we be then having a special town, special selectmen's meeting?
We could.
We may, yeah.
Okay. So how would that be communicated?
We posted it. We
My
usually
town
have
government would be posted on the website.
Okay.
So, you can take a few minutes and clear the room. Check those cameras off.
Thank you all for coming.
We're going, Sam.
Well, we're taking it.
Oh.